in retrospect, that $99 million or $100 million bond float and my approval thereof, probably the worst decision I made over 10 years, on the council. And the reason for that is, it was the timing. Mr. Onishi brought up the point about, you usually do it in a down economy. You never, ever are supposed to float a huge bond when the construction is going up, because the prices are going to be high. You have to do it on a down economy so you can fill in the gaps for the jobs that are going to be lost when you do go down. That's one of the main purposes of a bond issuance. The timing was really bad, okay? But, I think even if we waived it from committee, I think we did a good enough job of vetting the fiscal aspects of all this. What we overlooked was how quickly the administration was going to move with all of this. I did not anticipate that. I thought we were going to move incrementally. Yeah, but what they say is haste makes waste, right? Right now, all of these buildings, when they're finished, they're going to look fantastic, right? Puna, you guys have your new park. I got a little park up in Kaumana, and all other places. When they're constructed and completed, they look great. But at some point, and we're hearing it already, even from the golf course, the Puna Park, we're hearing how perhaps the haste in the planning stages might create some problems for us down the road. I hope it doesn't, but I really expect that to happen. And so we didn't properly vet the timing issues because nobody ever expected that to happen. So live and learn, but I'll be the first to say I didn't, I really, that's something that I regret. With regard to the $10 million additional appropriation, I kind of looked at the transcript, well, not the transcript, but the DVD of that discussion. And when the Department of Parks and Recreation came and explained what it was for, it wasn't for golf course, wasn't for Kau, wasn't for fire station, wasn't for Kukue Haile, was for some photovoltaic thing in there were many candidate projects, but none of which were included, I think, in the bond float. And again, it gets back to, we just want the straight scoop so that we can make good, sound decisions for the public. That's all I ask. Yeah, and I think that's all we should demand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chung. Ms. Willie.
Yeah, I think the issue here was really about overtime and spending money on that. It's not about, it's about basically mismanagement and trying to do everything before the end of one's term. I mean, we all have things that continue on. There are things that I have that I've spoken to Tim Richards about. This is ongoing, and it just seems very, wrong to just be where where the mayor feels like he wants to be cutting the ribbons now. I know in another park project, Kanu Gym, that was on this list, I don't, maybe it's proceeding now, but I know at one point where the mayor was told, well, it doesn't look like this will be done by the time you leave, then it was, well, I think I'll scratch it. I just think we have to have more long-term sense that we're all in here and have a term and that it goes on. I did, in a way, I saw that 100 million as what we would have spent on the waste to energy project had that gone through. We were going to have to come up with money, and spending it instead on parks and infrastructure seemed like, anyway, certainly a much better thing to do. But this is about overtime, and it wasn't about, what that number that we were going to spend at that time. I did ask the council chair to have the Parks and Rec come and do a presentation on each park and what the status was and where the money came from, and to go through those candidates, like after this, where it had the list of candidates, or even after the 10.6, I went and met with Clayton. Okay, which ones here is it? Let me pin this down. And basically, well, these are just all candidates. So there wasn't any. I mean, it's not like, I don't, and each of those times, which one, where are we going to do it? So it was sort of like, well, the administration's going to decide. I'm going to do it here, I'm going to do it there. It doesn't mean like, I'm not trying to say that Miley did something to, kowtow to the mayor or anybody else did. It's just, that's the way this administration has run. The king decides, and you can see that all across the board.